turns its attention to the basketball Panthers. Once again in the thick of things in the Big East, and they hope on the national scene as well. The Oakland Zoo is standing room only for tonight's matchup with Syracuse.
Two in the 3, 3 in the 4, 4. Then you gotta breathe. Woo! Woo! Gotta
Welcome to the sold-out Peterson Event Center here in Pittsburgh, which is alive tonight because a bitter rival of the Panthers has come to town, the 4th-ranked Syracuse Orange, who are unbeaten in conference play and have won 13 in a row. But this is a tough place to win. Pittsburgh's only lost 3 times here in 47 games. The Orange ranked 4th in the country. Pittsburgh 13-3, just 3-2 in the conference. Syracuse a perfect 7-0 in Big East play. One thing that both schools have going for them, remarkable comebacks in their last game. Syracuse was down 20 at Rutgers Monday night and they won. Pittsburgh was down 17 late in the first half in UConn. They came back to win. Remarkable performances. Hi everybody and welcome to the Peterson Event Center. Dan Shulman and Len Elmore with you. You've played in games like that. What do those kinds of comebacks mean for these two teams?
Well, they certainly give you a great deal of confidence, and the confidence has to be flowing for both teams. But this is also about respect. One team trying to gain respect, and that's Syracuse. 20-1, but their December and January schedule, except for playing Oklahoma State, which was number 5 at the time, wasn't exactly challenging. A lot of people don't think they're as good. And Pittsburgh, they're better than 3-2 in this conference. This is a situation where they need to go forward and prove something to some folks.
25 NBA scouts are here to look at some of the stars in tonight's game, among them Hakeem Warwick and Chevy Troutman.
Well, Hakeem Warwick, except for Boston College's Jared Dudley, Warwick's the hottest player in the conference. Last 4 games, 23 points, 10 rebounds. And Chevy Troutman, senior, experienced, clutch. He's a great defender and the workhorse of these Pitt Panthers.
The Pittsburgh fans on the Orange as soon as they stepped out onto the floor. Pittsburgh had won the first 34 games they played in this building, which opened 2.5 years ago, until Syracuse got here last year and handed the Panthers an overtime loss. Yes, revenge is on the minds of the Panthers and their fans here tonight, Len.
Well, you look outside and you see it's cold. That's what revenge is all about. It's best when served cold.
And the Oakland Zoo, one of the most rabid student sections in America, living up or down to its reputation pregame here tonight, but they are fired up and ready to go as the Orange control the opening tip.
Pittsburgh starts out in man-to-man. That's about all you'll see them play. One of the top teams in the nation defensively, particularly from beyond the arc. 4th in the nation in guarding the 3.
Hakeem Warwick right over Chris Taft, and the Orange score first.
Well, that's going to be a key matchup. Chris Taft should not be asked to do it alone. He's going to need an awful lot of help to try to neutralize his counterpart.
These two teams will meet again up at the Carrier Dome later on in the season. The Orange coming out in their trademark 2-3 zone, which they actually came out of for an extended stretch in the second half at Rutgers, went with a full court press, which got them back into the game. They were down 18 at the half at the rack, a tough place to play. And then they scored something like 13 points in the first 2 minutes of the second half, most of them coming off turnovers.
Well, you don't get 696 wins if you don't keep a couple of things in your hip pocket for when you need them. And Jim Boeheim prepared his team well for that one.
Chevy Troutman turns it over. Craig Forth comes up with a loose ball for the Orange. McNamara off to Josh Pace. He's being guarded by Levon Kendall, number 14 for Pittsburgh, who is making his first career start as now the Orange turn it over. And a look at the starting lineups tonight. Krauser has turned it over a lot for Pittsburgh this year. Troutman and Taft strong up front. Kendall, his first career start, and a lot of experience for Syracuse. Yes, McCroskey is a sophomore, but the other 4 starters were all key parts of the national championship team.
And speaking of key, Carl Krauser has to trust his teammates now. Doesn't have to feel that he has to do it by himself. That accounts for many of the turnovers. He dribbles a little too much, doesn't really give the ball up until it's the final pass.
Taft got a touch on the interior, kicked it right back out. Shot clock at 4. Graves nowhere to go, so he puts the shot up. And McCroskey comes down with it and stays in bounds for the Orange.
Well, that's where some of the offense is coming from, right below that foul line against the 2-3.
McNamara fouled on a 3-point attempt by Levon Kendall. And he will shoot 3, as Len mentioned. Jim Boeheim getting closer and closer to 700 career wins. Only 5 active coaches have reached that mark. It's been a remarkable run for Boeheim, who, of course, played at Syracuse, was an assistant there as well, and now in his 29th season as head coach of the Orange, the longest active tenure in Division I.
I talked to Jim Boeheim on Friday and asked him about, 27th season with 20 wins in a season. He said the only number I'm concerned about is number 21. And that's the 21st win we're talking about tonight.
They are 20-1 on the season. Jerry McNamara last year was held in check by Pittsburgh, but the Panthers last year, Len, had a couple of guys named Julius Page and Jerron Brown. They're gone. Who's going to defend McNamara tonight?
Well, right now, Antonio Graves has been the guy that Jamie Dixon has asked to do so. Maybe not the lockdown defender that Page and Brown used to be.
Krauser wide right on the 3. Offensive rebound off the fingers of Kendall, out of bounds. Syracuse, so far, they've taken the crowd out of this game a little bit, and that's hard to do here in Pittsburgh.
Well, Pittsburgh, again, just misfiring offensively. Had a couple of opportunities, getting the ball in the short corner, getting some shots. They've got a little game jitter right now.
Warwick being defended by Taft, so Troutman is on 4th, who's not a big scorer. McCroskey from the wing. Long on the 3, but a weak side rebound by 4th. Shot clock did not reset. Warwick, a trademark spin move. Good double team by Troutman.
And that's the help that Taft needs.
McCroskey, no. Warwick stripped by Kendall, and Warwick commits the foul. Jamie Dixon says of Kendall, a redshirt sophomore, again making his first career start tonight, he's just got a nose for the ball. He's always around the action.
When you take a look, the white shirts on the mistimed jump, but Kendall strips Warwick. Warwick was right there. Kendall using quick hands.
For the first foul on Warwick, Antonio Graves out. Ronald Ramon, a freshman from the Bronx, a sharpshooter, into the game now for the Panthers.
Well, Jamie Dixon recognizing, again, they've had too many opportunities now in the last 3 trips. Needs somebody who's a threat out there, somebody willing to take that open shot, try to extend this Syracuse 2-3.
Kendall will shoot it from the wing, and the Panthers are on the board.
Well, that's what Levon Kendall can bring. He doesn't have a lot of game experience, but people tell you he's one of the most fundamentally sound guys on this team.
You watch him in practice, Len. He can really shoot the ball. As Warwick drops one in, and I guess a nice thing, at 6'9", Kendall can shoot over that zone.
And that's the kind of looks that you need. You want to extend that zone. It gives you gaps to drive against.
Krauser, no on the 3. Troutman keeps it alive, but McCroskey comes down, and the Orange are going to look to run. Boy, they are surrounding Warwick, double-teaming him every time he touches the ball. Not this time, though. And that is the 65th dunk of the season for Hakeem Warwick. He dunks so often, that's a stat they actually track at Syracuse.
Well, just tremendous extension. And he knows where to go. Once there's a loose ball situation or an opportunity with the ball at the top, he's going to float baseline. Ball's at the top right there. And you see him just wait until the help surrounds the ball handler, and then he presents himself. And with his extension, a lot of guys have to step in the lane in order to be effective. He can stay outside of the lane,
right,
receive, and still leap over any double team that's about to occur.
An unbelievable athlete. And even though at about 215 pounds, he's giving up a lot in the bulk department, he does not shy away from contact, does not back off people. He's going to drive it toward the rim.
Yeah, but you know, at his size, even though he's slender, he also recognizes that when you get up in space, everybody's weightless.
That's right. And he gets up a little bit higher in space than most. Krauser driving by McNamara. Troutman to baseline. Had a sensational game Saturday night against UConn. Follows his miss. Now the rebound to Warwick.
Syracuse really surrounding the short corner. The ball gets down there. No room for Troutman to breathe.
Warwick being defended by Troutman on this trip. Jumper over him, short, and Troutman comes down with a rebound.
See what Troutman does, he bodies up against Warwick. So when he shoots the jumper, he's a little bit off balance with the bump.
Just 3 points in 4 minutes and 20 seconds for the Panthers. Ramon for three, and he's off. Kendall, a weak side rebound, right back up, and it rolls off the rim. Taft follows up, and he'll go to the line. The Orange a little bit worried about rebounding against Pittsburgh out of that zone, and we're seeing it with good reason. But if they can get Warwick these kinds of looks, it'll all be good for the Cuse tonight. The Peterson Event Center, a good start for the Orange. Hakeem Warwick with 6. Syracuse leading by 6, and Syracuse led off to the best start that they've had in 25 years, 20-1. Their only loss to Oklahoma State. How good is this team?
Well, it's hard to gauge. You look at their November schedule. They played Mississippi State and Memphis at the time. Both those teams ranked, but not anymore. And then aside from that Oklahoma State loss, really not a challenging schedule in December and January, but you don't take anything away from the fact that with parity in college basketball today, just about every game is tough. Jim Boeheim's team, recognizing that it's an experienced team, has really helped them grow into their particular style right now. Now, last couple of games, they've had difficulty putting teams away. They beat Georgetown in overtime. Close game against West Virginia, and we talked about that tremendous comeback against Rutgers. He's looking for young guys to come off the bench to help them sustain. They haven't really been able to knock teams out, as Jim would say, lately.
And their schedule does get a lot tougher. This game marks the beginning of a brutal 6-game stretch in the Big East. And because there are 12 teams in the Big East, you don't have a true home and home. And Syracuse has an extremely tough Big East schedule, playing Connecticut, Pittsburgh, and Notre Dame home and home.
And that's when the answer will come to the forefront as to how good they are. But right now, 20-1 is 20-1, and I'll take that anytime.
And ranked 4th in the country. That's the highest ranking that Syracuse has had in 5 years. And with Duke losing, if Syracuse can keep winning, they could go up to number 3. And it's been 14 years since Syracuse was ranked as high as 3rd. People forget it when they won the national championship a couple of years ago. They only got into the top 25 in February. That foul on Ramon, his first.
But it also goes to show what rankings truly mean.
Yes.
They're of the moment. And the next day, they have no bearing on what the game is about.
McNamara from about 25 feet away. Last year in the game here, his only made field goal was a 3, and it was in overtime. His mom and dad from Scranton, who travel to every single game, look on here in Pittsburgh.
Right now, you see the picks up top against the 2-3, trying to get some room for Krauser to either penetrate or look for his jumper.
Kendall with an offensive rebound, and he is fouled by Louis McCroskey.
And then the greatest concern Pittsburgh has is McNamara coming off a screen and pulling up. That time, it looked as though Ramon was actually leaning towards the screen. You see him lean just a little bit, kept him off balance enough, and McNamara will pull up anytime, any play.
More subs for Pittsburgh. Among them, Aaron Gray has checked into the game, a big man, a 7-foot sophomore who did some really nice things in 12 minutes off the bench Saturday night at UConn. But they're getting out of that short corner on Troutman. They respect his offensive ability. Pittsburgh just 1 for 9 from the floor here tonight, and they've been settling, if you will, for a lot of threes.
Well, that's because they've really been thwarted at getting the ball inside. They go to the short corner looking for a guy going down the middle and can't find him.
Good look for Graves, but he misses the 3. Rebound for Gray. And he stepped out of bounds, so the ball is going to go back over to Syracuse. So Pittsburgh with 3 points in just 6 minutes. Great story about Aaron Gray. Last year, after Pittsburgh gets knocked out of the NCAA tournament by Oklahoma State, the next day they fly back to Pittsburgh. The coaches are walking through the offices. They see Gray in the weight room. They say, Aaron, season's over. And he says, nope, season's just beginning for me. And that's one of the reasons he's lost 30 pounds, gotten into great shape, and become a factor. Josh Pace with a bucket. The first points for an Orange player other than Warwick or McNamara.
We talk about Aaron Gray and the impact he's had, averaging 5 points, 3 rebounds, playing good defense, all in 11 minutes per game. You know, you translate that over 40 minutes or so, and you realize what kind of impact he's had. Now, I won't do it because I don't have my calculator.
Right now, somebody's got to have an impact here for the Panthers. They've got 3 points in better than 6 minutes. The Orange are on a 9-0 run. Krauser trying to penetrate. That's a tough catch for a big man down low, and Gray took 1 step too many. Another turnover, and Jamie Dixon, second-year head coach here at Pittsburgh. Remarkable record, as you can see, picking up where Ben Howland left off. But he's got to be awfully frustrated with the way his Panthers have started this game.
Well, again, it's going to come down to the point where they're going to have to hit some inside shots. Syracuse is just packed in, covering the guys across the back line.
McNamara into traffic. It won't drop, but he is fouled by Ramon. Well, coming up a little bit later on tonight over on ESPN2 at 9 Eastern, a huge game out of the Big 12. Number 13 Texas against number 7 Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse, and then late at 11 Rodi Turioff and Gonzaga host Portland. That game at 11 Eastern. Don't forget College Game Day is on site at Allen Fieldhouse for an 8 p.m. Eastern, and then again a midnight show as well. Updating you on a very busy and interesting day in college basketball. Among the stories, I'm sure, a huge upset out of the Pac-10. Washington State winning at Arizona Lynn for the first time in 38 years.
Well, it's the law of averages, but couldn't come at a worse time for Lute Olson. His team finally making a statement, with regard to Pac-10 basketball and their dominance. And suddenly, they lose to the perennial cellar dwellers.
One of the unbeatens, Illinois, has already won. The other one, Boston College, is playing tonight at home against Georgetown. Kendall trapped in the corner. And he finds Krauser. Pittsburgh all out of sorts offensively right now. Now Gray will get to the line. But what is it about this zone? It's not a surprise. Pittsburgh knows they're going to face it. Why are they having so much trouble?
Well, because the zone changes. It morphs depending upon what kind of offense you're running. And right now, Pittsburgh really trying to get the ball to the short corner. Syracuse is doubling them, so they can't look. The short corner receives, supposed to look to the middle. A guy cutting down the lane, making the middle guy on the defense make a decision. Syracuse is not allowing that to happen. The other thing is they're almost matching up like man-to-man out on the perimeter, so every time a shooter receives, he's going to have a man in his face. The quickness of the Syracuse team in that zone has really been to their benefit.
Gray knocks them both down. 16-5. Now Gray will go out. McCarroll has come into the game for the first time, a senior for Pittsburgh. Taft has returned. And Terrence Roberts has checked in now for Craig Ford for the Orange. Roberts had a huge three-point play toward the end of the Rutgers game on Monday night.
So what Pittsburgh has to do, they've got to continue to rebound, kick it out, or create some turnover opportunities in the open floor to get some easy baskets. That'll prevent Syracuse from setting up the zone. Offensive rebounds against them will not help.
Pace with the offensive rebound for Syracuse, but stepped out of bounds. Josh Pace, one of those stat sheet stuffers, which I won't try to say again here tonight. Was lucky to get it out the first time, but scores, assists, rebounds, steals. Can play the top of the zone, also plays down at the bottom sometimes. A very versatile player for Jim Boeheim.
I was going to say, forget the tongue twister. He's a player.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, working really hard against the zone. And look at this shift. See, that's where the ball needs to go. And Taft needs to look down towards the basket instead of look laterally, because Syracuse is playing you laterally.
And Gray's air ball on the 3 attempt. Taft with a big-time block at the other end. But the good news, not a whole lot of it so far here for Pittsburgh. Jerry McNamara and Syracuse have enjoyed themselves. We'll get you caught up on McNamara's practice.
That reserve since Jerry was in high school.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. I've got a high school basketball player now, and you got to sit on your hands and keep your mouth shut.
Resist the temptation to give the coach a little helpful advice.
Either that or give your kid a little helpful advice.
That's true.
Quiet, Dad, quiet. I know what I'm doing.
Pittsburgh just one field goal, just 5 points in over 8 minutes of action. Billy Edelin, number 14. The junior point guard in the game now for the Orange, so McNamara can move off the ball a little bit. Syracuse turns it over. Let's see if that gives Pitt a spark. No, it doesn't. McNamara with a great steal in the lane.
Well, that's just tremendous experience by Jerry McNamara. He's seen that happen over and over. Teams that are down have lost their focus. He's able to kind of sift around in the weeds and make the steal.
Now Krauser on the penetration, out to Kendall on the wing. Pittsburgh can't even get any clean looks.
That's also because they're not passing the ball well. That's one of the best passes that you've got. Good passes mean good shots. And a lot of the passes are rushed down at the feet.
Talk about good passes and good shots. McNamara to Terrence Roberts. The route is on early here in Pittsburgh, and the Panthers are forced to take another timeout. Boy, what a look that was by McNamara.
Well, again, you take a look right here. Only one guy on the boards, really. Everybody else trying to peel back. And even against 3 defenders, McNamara with the misdirection pass. Looks one way, kicks it off the other. Pittsburgh not getting back on defense, and they're not really hitting the glass on the offensive end. That's a bad, bad recipe.
Here at the sold-out Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, along with Len Elmore, I'm Dan Schulman. A huge game in the Big East. Number 4 Syracuse, number 18 Pittsburgh. A game where a lot of people looked to the Orange and said, okay, now the meat of your schedule really begins. Games against Pittsburgh and Notre Dame and a BC and a UConn. How good is Syracuse? Tonight, the answer so far is they're great. They are leading Pittsburgh 20-5.
And they've thoroughly taken Pittsburgh out of their game. Pittsburgh, a physical team, is being out-muscled on the glass. And even when Pittsburgh does get an offensive rebound, they can't seem to be able to convert. And once again, one shot, and the Orange are off and running.
Roberts the miss off to Krauser, or Roberts the rebound, I should say, off the Krauser miss. Roberts, another dunk. Boy, this guy is playing better and better. He's had a pretty impressive couple of minutes here.
Well, Syracuse just taking their time and taking what the defense gives them, and the defense right now for Pittsburgh is giving up everything.
Krauser on the penetration. Kendall with the ball, had a 3 several minutes ago, the only field goal of the night for Pittsburgh as we near the midway point of the first half.
That's where the offense should come from against this 2-3 zone. And Taft flashes up to the top and turns and looks at the basket. Before, he'd receive and throw it laterally. He's got to continue to attack from that spot.
Then they had gone 7 minutes without a field goal before that jumper by Taft, but they're still down 15. McNamara gets free inside, misses with the left hand. Krauser speeding by a couple of Syracuse players, finds Taft, and he's going to the line.
Well, when you're in doubt and you're having trouble scoring, particularly against this zone, you need open floor opportunities to get out on the break, not allow the zone to get set. And this is what Krauser does. Here he beats 2 guys, and Taft is running with him, which is another thing. Your big guys have to get out and run. And Taft does a nice job right there, just going straight to the front of the 10.
The foul on Billy Edelin as Taft gets the bounce. Not a good free throw shooter, but he's got 5 points right now. Both Pittsburgh and Syracuse, remember, came back from huge first-half deficits in their most recent game. But if you're Pittsburgh, I mean, that's not a recipe for success. You can't do that game after game. Roberts looking for Warwick. Another turnover. Syracuse getting sloppy.
Well, that time another body placed on Warwick, threw his timing off, didn't allow him to elevate.
Ramon trapped in the corner. Another staple of Syracuse's D. McCarroll will start knocking those down. He can hit that shot.
Well, that's the open spot there. Yeah. That's where the shot is. We've been saying that from the beginning.
We've been saying that for, what, about 15 years? But they win a whole lot more than they lose, don't they? Warwick now with McCarroll on. What a move. And he is fouled. Boy, is he quick. First foul on McCarroll, and Warwick to the line. Huge numbers for Hakeem Warwick, second in the Big East in scoring, third in rebounding, and without question a Big East Player of the Year candidate and a National All-America candidate.
Well, I think the award is his in the Big East. It's his to lose right now. Although you have, I mentioned at the beginning of the telecast, a young man, Jared Dudley from Boston College, is coming on strong, as well as Craig Smith. But you look at year by year the progress. This is a perfect example of getting young men who are developable, guys you can recognize have great potential. They'll stay for 4 years, and you see the improvement. Hakeem Warwick went from, a skinny young Colt coming into this program to a guy that's probably a top 10 draft pick on the next level.
Thinking back an era or so, not even an era, just a few years, guys like Etan Thomas and Damone Brown, who stayed 4 years and got better and better, and the Jim Boeheim's tutelage as well. Taft now, the guy up by the free throw line. Instead, the baseline floater is good for Keith Benjamin, freshman guard out of Mount Vernon, New York. The Oakland Zoo getting back into it, and the Panthers slowly getting back into it.
And again, Jamie Dixon has gone away from the defensive focus and put some offensive players out there, particularly Keith Benjamin.
Pittsburgh 10 deep, and Benjamin's about number 10. 7-1 run for the Panthers the last couple of minutes. Pace, and he traveled.
Well, it's important to get this crowd back in it because they were primed at the beginning of this game. And they've had to swallow that excitement, at least for the first 12 minutes of this half. And Pittsburgh now is kind of bringing it out.
Pittsburgh suffering home court losses earlier this season to Bucknell and Georgetown. They're 44-3 all time in this building. The first loss was to Syracuse last season. They'll try to reclaim a little bit of that swagger here at the Peak, as it's known locally. Krauser on the drive. McNamara commits the foul. That will be his first, but Krauser and the Panthers slowly but surely getting back into it. Getting pumped up here at the Peak. Syracuse by 11. This is a very proud group of Pittsburgh Panthers. 5-6 years ago, this program was not on the map nationally. Under Ben Howland and now Jamie Dixon, they have become great at home, great everywhere. 4 straight trips led to the Big East Tournament Championship game, winning once. 3 straight trips to the Sweet 16, one of only 5 schools that can make that claim.
And they've been able to do it with defense, holding teams perennially under 60 points.
McNamara with a steal.
It's the offensive area where they've had some difficulty over the years. One of the reasons they don't go further, in my opinion, is the fact that they don't have enough offense.
Count the basket. Fourth gets credit for the bucket for Syracuse.
You know, they've never been a team that's going to put 75, 80, 85 points on the board.
Right.
And even though they play terrific defense, you still have to have the complement, put the ball in the basket tournament time, because there are a lot of good defensive teams that you'll be facing.
And in Troutman and Krauser and Taft, they've definitely got 3 guys with the ability to score 15, 18 points in a game. Troutman just scored 29 last weekend against Connecticut.
But right now, they've got to attack that sweet spot. We saw McCarroll get shots. Taft scored from there. Now he's got to turn. He doesn't turn. That's what hurts. The zone does not shift until you turn and look at the basket and be a threat. And the bottom line is, in that open spot, right there, take a look at Chris Taft. He should be looking at the basket and making Craig Forth make a decision. And if Forth stays off him, you hit the shot.
On the inbounds, Ronald Ramon, the sharpshooting freshman from the Bronx, knocks it down. And now Pittsburgh is back within 10. And the Zoo getting back into it. Kendall will check in for Pittsburgh. Pace is going to return for the Orange. Troutman, by the way, still hasn't scored in this game for the Panthers. McNamara. Ball knocked away by Krauser. McNamara gets it back. Forth to Warwick. What a reach. Hakeem Warwick with plastic man-like arms, just reaching up and over the defense for 2 more.
I mean, how do you gauge that? It looks like he's got one of those extensions on the rod and reel, right?
He's Inspector Gadget out there. Warwick with 9.
Just keep going and going.
Troutman.
See, that's a good decision by Chevy Troutman. He turned, faced, the defense sagged on him. The shooter was able to come around and circle cut and get a wide open look.
He might be a better choice than Taft to be making decisions in the middle of that zone. McNamara, a game-high 10 for the Orange, but Pitt's back within 9. Those threes are getting them back into the game. Edelin takes a bump. And we'll go to the line. Billy Edelin, physical as always, driving into the lane. Hey, coverage of Winter X Games 9 begins on ESPN tonight with the Moto X Best Trick and Women's Snowboard Super Pipe. Live from Aspen. Winter X Games 9 on ESPN tonight at 9 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Billy Edelin, who missed the first 7 games of the season, to get his academics in order, has really become a factor in the last couple of games.
Well, he's getting in the rhythm, no question about it. Those last couple of games, you see the numbers right there. And he's also averaged 28 minutes in the last 2, as opposed to only 14 minutes for the beginning and middle part of the season. So he's a guy that brings physical play. He's got size as a guard. You don't want to isolate your point guard with him defensively, because he'll back him down and make things happen. Plus, he opens the floor for McNamara.
Troutman. 2 more. Now they put Troutman at the free throw line, and he's having some success. His first points of the night.
And he turns and faces, and once you do that, you force the back line to make decisions, and off their decisions, the offensive player makes the adjustment.
McNamara. Wow. Forth misses a layup, tapped down with a rebound.
Wow,
boy.
Blank.
7-footers got to make those. And that's been his Achilles heel over the course of his career. Kendall misses the 3-rebound pace. Syracuse led by as many as 15. The Panthers have it down to 8. McNamara. Tough 3. All his momentum carrying him to the left over to the sideline, and he still hits the shot. He's got a game-high 13. Jerry McNamara has made more threes than any player in college basketball this season. That quieted the crowd, maybe just momentarily. Krauser blocked by Edlin, got it back.
There's that size of Edlin paying dividends defensively. And again, with a guy with that size at the point, you don't want to isolate your point guard on him.
Kendall, another three, his second of the game.
And Dan, what has happened now is that Pittsburgh is attacking the sweet spot of that zone, and they force the zone to adjust. And when you're adjusting to the middle, now you've got open looks around the perimeter.
Kendall's hit some threes. Ramon has hit one. Pittsburgh starting to heat up from outside. Warwick, line drive, no. Rebound, Pittsburgh. This is as close. They've got a chance to get as close as they've been since the opening minute or two of the game.
And they can afford to be a little more patient. There's that spot again.
The tip by Troutman, and again!
All sorts of good things happen. You can crash the offensive glass because the defenders are occupied. You get a good look. By Jove, I think they've got it.
It took them about 15 minutes to figure out how they wanted to attack the zone, but now they're getting it done, and a 15-point deficit is down to 6 here at the Pitt.
Well, again, there's a sweet spot with Taft. Everybody turns as he turns and faces, and Troutman able to sneak in and get excellent rebounding position. There's Troutman right there. Everybody turns and looks at the shooter. And Troutman just sneaks along that baseline. Look at that position right there. Excellent job, and he just holds his own.
And again, the Syracuse coaching staff, if they were worried about one thing coming into this game, it was keeping Pittsburgh off the offensive glass. And we're seeing how important that has been for Pitt here in the first half. Hey, coming up in about an hour and a quarter, 9 o'clock Eastern over on ESPN2, a big game of the Big 12, Texas and Kansas. And then after that at 11 Eastern, Portland against Gonzaga. College game day is on site at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Reese Davis, Jay Billis, and Digger Phelps are there. Texas and Kansas. Texas again having to play without P.J. Tucker, but Daniel Gibson, their outstanding freshman point guard, has been sensational the last couple of weeks. 3:23 to go in the first half. We'll step aside for a moment. Syracuse now up only by 6. A Big East update, and a big one when we come back after this. Very much so. It's early, but BC leading Georgetown. A great story. One of only 2 remaining unbeatens. Their next game available on ESPN Full Court Tuesday night against the Mountaineers. And #1 Illinois defeated Minnesota handily today. They are at the Breslin Center in East Lansing on ESPN Tuesday night. Had a great game at Wisconsin, won by 10 in a game that was closer than that, Len. Oh, look at this. Nothing close about this. McNamara from about 28 feet away. McCroskey just knocking people down. Loose ball to Pitt, though. Krauser spins. Benjamin on the wing. Misses the 3. Aaron Gray the rebound. Watkins will get credit for a block. The big man for Syracuse, just his second game back after having thumb surgery. He's got a wrap on that right thumb still. McNamara looking for another 3. Pittsburgh comes down with it.
Well, that was a good test. That sequence, the test of Pittsburgh's perseverance. A couple of easy opportunities, got them blocked. They got back on defense. And now that's a sign of a quality team right now to be able to withstand, some of those disappointments.
Big lineup right now for Pitt. Gray a 7-footer, Troutman 6'7", and Kendall really a 6'9" small forward. Gray inside, and a foul.
And how about the terrific pass by Chevy Troutman? Very handy with the ball, very underrated as a ball handler. Troutman gets doubled, steps back away from the double team with the bounce pass. Perfect form. Look at the double team. Now look at him step back, give himself an opportunity to see. And see, he does.
Len, the big guys who always get mentioned in the Big East, and deservedly so, Hakeem Warwick of Syracuse, Ryan Gomes of Providence, Craig Smith of BC. Does Troutman deserve mention in their class?
Oh, absolutely. He's not as flashy, not as flamboyant. It's often said about guys, blue-collar workers and that type of thing. Well, Troutman is the epitome. He'll just get down low and he'll dig and he'll battle. He'll make little plays like the pass there. But he's an experienced guy and he gets it done. At the end of the day, the numbers present themselves.
Warwick now with 11. He and McNamara have combined for 24 of Syracuse's 33 points.
Well, it's a critical time for Pittsburgh right now. They've gotten back in this game now. They just want to make sure that they stay in rhythm and continue to nip away at this lead. They don't have to get it all back before the half. And this is what they've done, too. They've worked the ball inside. Troutman takes his time, recognizes he's got one-on-one. Even though they're in a zone, it's one-on-one situation, and Troutman makes the most of it.
The foul on Watkins, his second. Troutman is 70% free throw shooter. Pittsburgh as a team, not very good. Just 64%, the worst in the Big East. And that's been a problem for this Pittsburgh program for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, this is a team that needs to continue to work with that free throw line. But Troutman and Krauser both much improved. Krauser was 10 of 11 in the UConn game. So down the stretch, they sorely needed those points.
1 of 2 for Troutman. And we've got a violation, so the ball is going to go to Syracuse. Back into the game, or checking into the game now for Syracuse, number 4, Demetrius Nichols.
But we've watched Pittsburgh shoot free throws in practice today, and they shot them pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
You know, it's only in game time and the lights go on, and they seem to have a problem.
That's a problem, though. They've got it down to 5, trailed by as many as 15 earlier here in the first half. 17, I should say, the largest deficit. The same deficit they overcame at UConn on Saturday night.
Krauser now switched off on McNamara, a little more experience.
And McNamara, good strong drive, and he is fouled.
Well, the interesting part about it with Jerry McNamara, you got to kind of pick your poison. You know, of the 254 field goal attempts coming into tonight that he's made, 201 of them were three-point attempts.
Taken. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
201 of the three-point field goal attempts out of 254 total field goal attempts. You got to play him for the three. When he beats you inside, you got to rely on your help to step up. You don't have to really be the guy that's going to stop him inside. Your job, if you're defending him, is to keep him from raising up beyond the arc.
Well, if you put him at the line, you've got problems. Although he misses one there. 6 for 7 tonight, shooting 81% this season, which is actually down for him. He's close to a 90% free throw shooter his first couple of years.
I was going to say, not as automatic as you might think back in the day last year. And, you know, coming from doing ACC games and watching J.J. Redick.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
automatic.
comparison.
Taft throws it over the head of Kendall, a Pittsburgh turnover. Less than a minute away from the UPS halftime report. But Scott Reese and Doug Gottlieb, they'll look at Illinois, number 1 in the nation and still undefeated after a win over Minnesota today. A long, long streak ends in Pac-10 territory. And a game day preview with Reese and Jay and Digger from Allen Fieldhouse of Texas and Kansas coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern over on ESPN2. Next week, by the way, the Saturday night game, 9 Eastern on ESPN, and the game day crew will be there, will be Notre Dame at Syracuse. McNamara airball gets the fans all excited here. And Syracuse is trying to break the record for the biggest on-campus crowd in college basketball, which they hold better than 33,000 a couple of years ago. Carmelo Anthony's last game. They're over 30,000 sold tickets already for next Saturday night's game against the Irish.
I mean, that's great, but if there's any place that record can be broken, it's at Syracuse. They're the ones that have the arena to hold the folks.
Troutman, a good spin move inside, and he's going back to the free throw line. Terrence Roberts commits the foul for the Orange.
So Syracuse fans better get your tickets.
That's right.
Make
Number
history.
2 on Roberts. And if you're buying tickets now, you better be prepared to climb some steps to get to your seats. But I sat up there. I sat way up top. I don't know what year it was when Digger Phelps was coaching Notre Dame, and they pulled off a miracle win at the Carrier Dome. Big comeback, and I think it was Elmer Bennett hit a turnaround jump shot for Notre Dame. It's a great venue to see a basketball game.
Well, I can tell you this, it wasn't yesterday.
No, it wasn't. Troutman 1 of 2 again. He's got 6. Graves in, Kendall out. 10.5 seconds left here in the first half. Pace is returned for the Orange. Pittsburgh, a real nice last 10 minutes or so after it looked like they might get blown out of their own building.
Well, this is all about a stop right here. Feel real good about yourself coming back in the second half.
A strip. Would have counted had it gone, but a good close nonetheless to the first half of the Panthers. But Jerry McNamara, 14 first half points. Syracuse winners of 13 in a row. They lead by 5 at the break. Now time for the UPS halftime report. Guys? Well, at the beginning, as you saw, Hakeem Warwick and the Orange had their way, led by as many as 17. But that has not put off the fans here in Pittsburgh, hoping their Panthers can make a big comeback for the second week in a row.
Swimming in the three-way, swimming in the 4-4. Then you gotta breathe. Woo! Woo! Gotta.
Well, that's a different kind of emotion from Carl Krauser as we get set for the second half here in Pittsburgh. It'll end week after week. You put yourself behind the 8 ball like the Panthers did last week. They came back and beat UConn there. It's hard to do that, but you got to admire the resilience of these Panther kids, and they're able to do this.
Well, their experience, and you look at Carl Krauser, you look at Siobhan Troutman, 2 guys that have been through the wars. The thing is, they have to figure it out a lot earlier how to attack this zone. They've been able to do it inside, and that's what you do against the zone. You make it implode. You get the ball inside, force the sag, and then so many things open up.
Last year, we talked about how Jerry McNamara really struggled to score against Pittsburgh because they had guys like Julius Page and Jerron Brown to guard him. McNamara, with mom and dad and others here from Scranton to watch the game, 14 first-half points. They've got to do a better job against him.
Well, they certainly do, but they have been guarding the three-point line pretty well against Jerry McNamara, only 2 for 6. He's had to really work for what he's got.
It was 22-5 at one point for Syracuse. It's a 5-point lead for the Orange as we move to the second half. Graves thought about it, decided against it, then decided to take the shot and missed it. McNamara stepped out of bounds. Pittsburgh ball.
And it was that moment of indecision that threw Graves off. Again, Graves, a 52% three-point shooter, and McNamara runs it down, and that heel raises the line.
Pittsburgh getting some penetration, but they turn it over. They struggled terribly against the zone for the first 10 minutes or so. Then had a lot of success against the zone in the last 10 minutes as they got back into the game. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well, 35%, but 9 offensive rebounds. Some good second chance opportunities. Syracuse shot the ball very well, and that's been their trend. They're shooting 51% on the season. Easily the best in the Big East. Troutman with a foul. Warwick will go to the line.
Well, again, we talked about Pittsburgh's ability to attack the zone, and as I mentioned, you have to do it inside. Make this guy in the middle make a decision. Watch Siobhan Troutman receive. Middleman makes the decision, and now you just go to the front of the rim, as Aaron Gray does. And when you do that, you get rewarded. Going inside against this zone. A lot of people try to attack the zone from the perimeter. They're too quick. They'll cover the shooter. Go inside, and so many things open up for you.
Warwick misses the first free throw. Now 1 for 3 tonight, and again struggles at the line on the season. 63%, 2 for 4 tonight. A dozen points for Warwick. Teams tend to take a ton of threes against Syracuse, more than they normally take.
Because the zone invites them to do that. You have to have the patience and the resolve to resist.
And now Krauser with the turnover, and he's given it to Graves. Feels that Graves was not in the right spot. Krauser has turned it over at better than 6 per game in Big East play. More than 4 turnovers per game overall. Way up from a year ago.
And it's that miscommunication that sometimes makes Carl Krauser think he's got to do it by himself. Good penetration, delivers the ball, but his man wasn't where he's supposed to be.
Krauser defending McNamara. Now off to Pace. And the rebound off the air ball to Kendall.
Well, Levon Kendall just making his presence known out there.
Krauser from the wing misses the 3. Good box out by 4. McNamara, nice look ahead from McCroskey, but he traveled. Both teams out of sync offensively here to start the second half.
We talk about Siobhan Troutman, an experienced defender. Look at him play Akeem Ward. Again, putting a body on him, keeping Ward off balance.
Troutman had that monster second half a week ago up at UConn. 25 points and 8 rebounds in the second half in that big comeback win. Krauser, by the way, has not scored tonight, but he does have 6 assists. Kendall looking inside for Troutman. They've got the right idea, but can they do it? Kendall for 3. His third three-pointer of the night in the redshirt sophomore's first ever start.
And it's just a tremendous look and play. Ramon did a nice job again of drawing the defense.
Kendall's a guy getting more playing time after Yuri Dimitris, a senior for Pittsburgh, suspended indefinitely after being charged with burglary and assault. Warwick inside, lays it home.
You gotta like Akeem Warwick. As slender as he is, he's taking the body blows from Siobhan Troutman and using his quickness and length to get to the basket.
He and McNamara each with 14. Louis McCroskey called for the foul right now, complaining to Curtis Shaw, number 2 on McCroskey.
You just can't teach this length. Quick move. Troutman leaning on him. He feels the lean, and then he goes baseline and extends where no one else can reach the ball.
Where no man has gone before. Warwick with 14, McNamara with 14. They've been the vast majority of the offense for the Orange. Now Tapp does turn and face Len and kicks it out to Kendall.
And it's a good move. Continue to turn and face. That's the attack you want.
Kendall off the fingertips of Troutman. Ramon into the game. Krauser for 3, and the Panthers are right back in it.
And they did it again. Inside-out play. They explored inside, kicked it out, moved the ball around the perimeter as the zone is shifting and find an open man.
Billy Edelin on the floor for Syracuse. This is the closest Pitt has been since it was 2-0.
And Carl Krauser doing a pretty good job on McNamara. That time didn't get a hand up, but still bothering Jerry McNamara here in the second half. Good defensive change by Jamie Dixon.
Pitt looking to tie or maybe take the lead for the first time tonight. Good trap on Troutman in the corner, and it's out of bounds to Pittsburgh. Still 21 to shoot.
Well, if you're going to get the ball in the corner and you're going to get trapped, couldn't find a better guy for Pittsburgh than Siobhan Troutman. He takes his time, very poised against the double.
Well, he's got good position underneath, and he got fouled from behind by Pace. Siobhan Troutman, in addition to all of his physical ability, is an extremely intelligent basketball player.
Absolutely. That play demonstrates that he knows how to play basketball. Take a look at the movement right there. That's several plays before. Ball went inside and outside. And look at Troutman. Just sets up right in front of Pace, sees the angle. Josh Pace really not having the presence of mind to keep the guy from getting in front.
Aaron Gray into the game and now for Pitt. Finds a wide open Kendall. Not this time. Troutman up there with Roberts, and it'll stay with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh out rebounding Syracuse right now, keeping the ball alive and getting a lot of second opportunities. And look at Jamie Dixon, just like Ben Howland before him, trying to get his players to give maximum effort. Krauser misses the 3. He thought he got fouled. Now here comes McNamara.
Pittsburgh falling in love with that 3. One pass and a shot.
McNamara inside, and he draws the foul. From the other side of the floor comes Frank Scagliano. I believe he got Kendall.
And here's the decision you have to make against Terry McNamara. You've got to guard him beyond the three-point arc. But once he penetrates, he's not looking to shoot. If you've got guys who are going to help you out, get their hands up, he's looking to dish. All he wants to do is draw defenders.
Second foul on Kendall. Now in isolation for Warwick. And he draws the foul. It will be Chevy Troutman called for the foul. A physical defender trying to get physical with Warwick. Troutman picks up his second.
Well, sometimes you have to give up those kinds of plays. And there's Troutman in a one-on-one situation. Nice fake there. And Troutman would have been in a good position, except he reached out. But Warwick has really improved on his first step to the basket. When he turns and faces you, there was a time when he'd bounce it and then kind of spin, which would slow him down, slow his momentum. Here he's using his athleticism and explosion to get to the basket.
Averaging better than 20 points per game. Second in the Big East for the third time tonight. 1 for 2 from the line. It'll be Pittsburgh's ball when we come back. One's down 17. Carl Krauser of the Panthers back within 3 here at the Pitt. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow ABC and ESPN have exciting coverage of the NBA. First on ABC at 12:30. How about Shaq and Dwayne Wade taking on Yao and Tracy McGrady? And then at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN, it's Milwaukee against Cleveland. Will LeBron James be able to answer the bell? The NBA Sunday on ABC and ESPN. I hope LeBron can play because, I mean, at 20 years of age, second year in the league, he's already become as good as anybody in the league.
Well, he's the most dynamic player in the NBA, and quite honestly, all due respect to Garnett, Kobe, and the rest of the young players, the most dynamic player in a long, long time.
Carl Krauser, a pretty dynamic performer here for Pittsburgh. His second 3 of the half, and Pitt's come all the way back from what was once a 17-point deficit, just like they did a week ago up at UConn.
And I talked a while ago about Pittsburgh usually playing man-to-man. They're in a 2-3 zone themselves.
McNamara the floater. Syracuse back on top. McNamara with 16.
And so much for Jerry McNamara going inside the three-point line and looking to pass. That time he had no choice but to put it up.
And a double dribble there by Kendall as Pittsburgh turns it over. Carl Krauser can go long stretches without making shots, but he hits big shots, Len.
Well, he used that screen of Siobhan Troutman very well. And there's McNamara recognizing he's got Levon Kendall guarding him, not nearly quick enough to guard him off the bounce. He did a nice job there getting to the open spot with the running one-hander.
So it's Syracuse by 2. Pittsburgh trying to avenge a defeat to the Orange in this building a year ago. At the time, the first ever loss suffered by the Panthers here in this building after 34 consecutive wins. McNamara, nice look inside. Forth has it taken away by Ramon.
That's about the third time Craig Forth has put the ball down low, close to the basket, allowing Pittsburgh to strip him. Got to keep that ball above your shoulders, as big as Craig Forth is, at over 7 feet.
Gray kicks it out. Krauser. McNamara closes out on him. Another clean look inside. Now a baseline dump down to Troutman, but McNamara, great anticipation for the steal.
Again, that's the savvy play of a guy who understands how teams attack their zone.
And Chevy Troutman just picked up his 3rd foul. All of them have come here in the second half.
So we talk about the experience of Troutman, but he's got to know better. He can't compound the error that he made on one end and get in foul trouble. His defense against Hakeem Warwick has been one of the keys allowing Pittsburgh to get back into this game.
Now McCarroll is in there, who's long and lean like Warwick. Can't really muscle him at all. Edelin inside, as tough a penetrating guard as there is in America. Right up there with Jarrett Jack of Georgia Tech.
Well, Billy Edelin at 6'4", going about 190, 200. As I said, you isolate him on the opposing team's point guard, and, you know, they've got an advantage, the Orange do.
Gray misses the jumper from the free throw line, but another offensive rebound. This time it's Benjamin, and he turns it over. 2-on-1. Edelin. Nichols for the layup, and all of a sudden Syracuse is back up 6.
And it's a Pittsburgh turnover. It's out of the zone. Jamie Dixon needs to talk about it.
Troutman on the bench with 3 fouls. Syracuse takes advantage. Billy Edelin off the bench, making things happen for the Orange here in the second half. All right, Scott, thank you. You talked about, Len, how you've got a son of what it's like to sit there and watch basketball games. Mine, a little bit older than that guy right there, is an avid snowboarder. I'm all over this winter egg stuff. He's in the half pipe and the super pipe and grinding on the rails and whatever they call it. I don't know what half it means, but it's fun to watch.
The luxury of living in the great north.
That's right.
Eh?
Nicely done. Winter X coming up at the top of the hour on ESPN. Texas, Kansas at the top of the hour on ESPN2. We got a good one going here in Pittsburgh. The Panthers once down 17, came all the way back to tie, but now Syracuse on a 6-0 run. Benjamin from the wing, another 3 for the freshman. He's got 8 points tonight.
And once again, the ball got below the free throw line in a sweet spot. Gray does a nice job of locating.
Here at the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh. Dan Schulman and Len Elmore with you. The Orange 20-1 on the season and winners of 13 in a row, getting all they can handle from Pittsburgh. 13-3, 3-2 in league play. Carl Krauser has come up gimpy, now trying to get down the floor, but limping on that left leg. Benjamin, no. Follow, yes, by Aaron Gray, as Pittsburgh is getting great performances from some of their bench players. But right now, Carl Krauser is somewhat hobbled. A left foot or ankle problem, it looks like.
Syracuse can recognize that and try to get the ball to McNamara and exploit the injury.
Forth almost turned it over. Now he does. Now Krauser has to find the ball. And Krauser hits the floor hard after the block shot. It'll be Pittsburgh ball. They're down 1. Krauser's as tough a kid as there is in college basketball. He's not coming out unless they force him to.
Well, he found the ball, but he didn't see defender coming along from the weak side.
Krauser has played every minute of this game, and he stays in right now. 3-guard look with Benjamin and Ramon. McCarroll and Gray up front. Syracuse still in the 2-3. McNamara went looking for the steal right there. Gray, good cut by Ramon, and he is fouled. It'll be Nichols on the call. You can't say enough for what Gray and Ramon and Benjamin and Kendall and some of the so-called support players have done for Pittsburgh here tonight.
You know, they're really executing the game plan and went into the short corner, and there was the cut to the open spot.
Got to hurry and get the ball in. Krauser finds McCarroll. And McNamara comes up with yet another loose ball. McNamara has not been out of the game here tonight, and he's been terrific.
Well, what a luxury to have a guy like Jerry McNamara out on the floor. Understands what everybody's trying to do. That's why Jim Boeheim's got great confidence in him and knows that he's ready to play.
Benjamin the foul. More on Jerry McNamara when we come back. The Orange by 1.
He's made things happen there. But more than anything else, you've got to find a way to body up to him beyond the three-point range, not allow him to get open looks.
Edelin and McNamara together in the backcourt. Nichols from the wing misses the three. Taft has returned from Pittsburgh, brings down the rebound. The Panthers could really use a meaningful contribution from Taft here in the second half. He's out there along with Troutman.
Well, he's been awfully quiet, particularly against the zone. Several times he's received, but really hasn't made anything happen.
McNamara the foul, his second. Let's go back a couple of minutes to when Krauser appears to suffer a left ankle injury.
That's called Krauser right there. And you see him just kind of slip. Look like maybe a wet spot in the middle of the floor. That's always dangerous.
But Krauser will stay in the game. How about Benjamin, the freshman who doesn't get a ton of playing time? He's into double figures right now. And Pittsburgh has their first lead of the game. Keith Benjamin had scored 10 points all season. He's got 10 here tonight, and the Panthers lead.
Well, he's a player now. He's the first guy to commit under Jamie Dixon, so Jamie's got some confidence in him. Benjamin's nickname, K. Rucker, from his exploits in the Rucker tournament in New York City, the fabled Rucker tournament, where he started at 14. So he knows how to play the big game.
And again, the suspension of Yuri Dimitris, a senior, charged with burglary and assault. Indefinite suspension. Nobody knows whether he's going to be back at all for Pittsburgh this year. It's opened up some minutes for guys like Benjamin, like Kendall, and these guys are showing they can play.
Well, you got to give them credit for being ready and give the coaching staff at Pittsburgh credit for having them ready.
A travel by Troutman. Let's not forget, 1 week ago tonight, Pittsburgh trailed UConn by 17 and came back to win at UConn. Syracuse faced their own hurdle. They were down 20 to Rutgers, and they came back to win on Monday night.
But from the Panthers' perspective, that's where the confidence comes in. When they went down double digits in the first half, they could have easily folded, but they knew they had a comeback in them. And obviously Syracuse, they have to be confident they know how to win.
McNamara goes right by Benjamin, loses it, and Pittsburgh comes up with it. Everything going the Panthers' way right now. In the first 10 minutes of the second half, Syracuse has only 10 points. Kendall. Troutman, where's the rebounding? Where's the defense for Syracuse to put a body on Troutman?
The same question Jim Boeheim is going to ask.
It was their biggest concern coming into the game. Rebounding out of the zone against the Panthers, and they were right to be concerned.
Well, absolutely. It comes down in the zone, the easiest defense to rebound against. Once the shot goes up, look at Troutman by himself, and he's watching. He should be coming out here trying to put a body on him as the other guys come down. Now pace comes over, and it's too late. You can't watch the flight of the ball, defenders. You got to find a body in the zone, get between the basket and the man, then attack.
Pittsburgh once down by 17 and now up by 3. Don't forget, top of the hour, just over 20 minutes from now, over on ESPN2, college basketball Saturday, Texas and Kansas in a battle of the top, 2 of the top teams in the very competitive Big 12, and then at 11 Eastern, also on ESPN2, it will be Portland at Gonzaga. Don't forget the College Game Day crew is there for halftime, postgame, etc. from Fogg Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas, in the Winter X Games here on ESPN as soon as we're done here in Pittsburgh. And a kick ball and a fresh 35. You know, Len, game after game, year after year, people look at this Pittsburgh program and say, they're not that good. But you know what? You watch them, and you and I get a chance to do a lot of their games. They've gone 13-3 in the Big East 3 years in a row. They've gotten to the Sweet 16 3 years in a row. They've been to the Big East championship game 4 years in a row. They are that good. They're tough, smart, and experienced, and they don't back down, and they don't care if they fall behind. They've got the confidence in themselves to make a comeback.
And they do it with defense, and tonight they've been changing defenses on Syracuse, going man, and at appropriate times going to the zone, and it's really kind of confused Syracuse in their ability to attack, particularly here in the second half. And how about Krauser with the miraculous recovery?
No longer looking like he's favoring the bad angle. Pittsburgh now up by 5. What an unbelievable turnaround. Nichols from the wing, the miss. Weak side rebound, Warwick. Now it's Syracuse taking a lot of outside shots, and they're not falling like Pittsburgh early in the game.
And there's that zone again. Pittsburgh creating a lot of difficulty. But on the other end, Krauser once again, just good little head fake, running one-hander, kind of the same kind of play that Jerry McNamara made earlier in this half.
This building is alive once again. McNamara. Nichols has become the shooter, the guy who's getting the open looks, but he's not knocking him down.
And the reason is Pittsburgh has now made up its mind that they're going to shadow McNamara wherever he goes. And beyond McNamara, there is no real perimeter threat for Syracuse.
Warwick and McNamara combined for 25 points in the first half. They've combined for only 6 so far here in the second half. Nichols out. McCroskey in. Back to the starting 5 right now for Jim Boeheim. Looking inside for Taft. Now they have to respect Benjamin. He's knocked down a couple of threes. Kendall will get a look with a toe on the line. Troutman, another uncontested putback.
Well, what Kendall has done is extended the defense, stretched them out, and when the shot goes up, no one's close enough to a guy to be able to block out. You got to respect Levon Kendall on the wing. First of all, a good pass by Benjamin. You take a look at Warwick, goes out and gets them, and Troutman does a nice job of getting by his man. Force tried to put a body on him, and Troutman just used foot quickness to get around him. Watch this. Warwick goes out. Now look at Troutman just use the body, use the foot quickness to get there. Use his force body against him.
He is some kind of player on the inside. It's a 13-4 run right now for the Panthers and a 7-point lead over the Orange. Top of the hour coverage of Winter X Games 9. It begins on ESPN tonight with a couple of great events. Moto X Best Trick. That is a sight to behold. And also Women's Snowboard Super Fight live from beautiful Aspen. Winter X Games 9 on ESPN tonight at 9 Eastern. I was at Summer X Games in L.A. inside the Staples Center and saw Moto X Best Trick, and you can't believe the stuff they're doing on motorcycles. Can't believe the comeback here by Pittsburgh. Second game in a row. Did it to UConn, now doing it here to Syracuse. Roberts dumps it inside Warwick, and he's fouled. We'll check the foul when we come back. The break here in Pittsburgh. Panthers up 7. It's got a pretty good trick here by the Panthers. Fall behind by 17 points every game and then make a great comeback against a highly ranked team and come up with an improbable win. It's a good formula, but you can't do it every game, but Pittsburgh's trying to do it for the second game in a row.
Pretty soon you run out of goodies on your bag of tricks, but right now, again, Pittsburgh pulling out all the stops, going the zone, playing man-to-man, switching up on Syracuse, recognizing that if they can get the ball out of McNamara's hands, the only other option is Warwick. And if they can double and triple Warwick inside, they're allowing everybody else for Syracuse to shoot the ball.
Warwick knocks down the first. You heard Scott Reese talk about undefeated BC. If BC could win it, if Syracuse loses here, then you'd only have one unbeaten team in conference play. And for Pittsburgh, this would be a huge win to move them up closer to the top of the league.
You know how important the top of the league is because it gives you that bye. You only have to play 3 successive nights instead of 4.
Syracuse back within 5. Warwick and McNamara 33 of the 46 points for the Orange tonight. They might need to find another option if they're going to win this game.
Well, this is what Jim Boeheim was talking about.
Krauser a deep 3, and he's feeling it now.
Yep, it's all about confidence. You know, when Pittsburgh plays with confidence, when they play offense with confidence, they're a pretty darn good team to go along with that defense. But the point you mentioned about finding another option, this is what Jim Boeheim was talking about. Young guys coming off the bench and stepping up, helping them to sustain. You can't rely on McNamara and Warwick and to an extent Pace every single time.
Taft alone inside, scores over Roberts.
Boy, Pittsburgh, because of the diversity of their offense now, has really spread the zone out, and they're just getting all kinds of looks.
That's the biggest difference. Pittsburgh's getting offense from 6 or 7 people. Syracuse only really from 2.
Everybody spots up along the perimeter for Pittsburgh, and Taft by himself. There's the spot up. This is the play before Taft's basket. This actually had impact on Taft's basket because now Syracuse has to go cover the shooters, and they leave the middle open.
Warwick back to the line for the Orange, and now he's starting to knock them down, and he gets to the line a ton. Krauser's had a very, very big second half. Did not score at all in the first half, although he had 6 assists. He's got 11 points here in the second half, and there are a few players who enjoy having the ball in their hands and trying to make clutch plays late in games as much as Carl Krauser. Jerry McNamara is right in that category as well.
All right, those guys live for it. Well, here's the pressure right now, the full court pressure. This is how they got back in the game against Rutgers, although I suspect a much better ball handling team is Pittsburgh, and you talk about attacking the press.
Wow. Taft and Watkins had some kind of collision above the rim.
Again, a nice job. Once you get out of that first wave, look at the advantage break now. Troutman does a nice job of running a 2-on-1, and Watkins was saying, I'm not happy. You're going to earn this.
And that was Watkins with that injured right thumb going up there and trying to block the shot. Still got a wrap on it.
Once again, both of those guys up. Boy, that looked like a pretty clean block.
Yeah, it did.
Give Darryl Watkins points for the count.
The tip is good again by Chevy Troutman. His 3rd offensive rebound and putback here in the second half. And Jim Boeheim says, don't you guys listen to what I've been telling you.
Just failure to put a body on a man.
McNamara the 3. His 2nd air ball tonight. Now he's really going to hear it. McNamara again. Ramon has it for Pittsburgh. The Panthers are on a roll. There's been a 28-point turnaround in this game since midway through the first half.
And also we're witnessing somewhat of a fundamental breakdown by Syracuse, inability to block out the rebounders. And Jim Boeheim told me on Friday that his biggest concern was the physical play of the Panthers. It really didn't reveal itself for the first 12 minutes of this game. But man, if they come on strong, hitting the offensive glass, making defensive plays.
And a 3-second violation called against Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at yet another offensive rebound and putback by Chevy Troutman.
Right there, you're going to take a look at the battle between Troutman and Warwick, and it was Troutman who got down low and really had the leverage on Warwick. And as we say in football, basketball, and just about everything else, low man wins.
McCroskey, 2 for the Orange to get it back within 9. Troutman is a devastating combination of strong and smart, and he's using both of those to his advantage. Taft on the feed from Krauser, and Taft is fouled. Second chance points. You'd expect Pittsburgh to dominate in that category given their physical play and given Syracuse struggling rebounding out of the zone. And that is your statistical story of the ballgame right now.
Absolutely, particularly as you mentioned, out of the zone, and Syracuse's inability to find guys. Got to find that white shirt.
Troutman, and he's fouled again, and that's the same play. Troutman just using that rear end of his, moving Pace out of the paint, getting an easy look at an inbounds play.
Well, first of all, Pace has got to get his back parallel to the baseline. And once he does that, he can step in front. Look at Troutman. He just runs there, gets there. Look where Pace is back. It's facing us. It should be parallel to that baseline.
And what has to concern Jim Boeheim, I would think, is he's seeing the same players make the same mistakes multiple times here in this game.
Well, I got a feeling in some respects, that's the way they're taught to defend on that baseline. You got to make the adjustment. But if Pace has his back parallel to the baseline, he's able to see Troutman coming, step and beat him to the spot, force him to go behind him.
Troutman averages about 14 and 8. He's got 13 and 9 here tonight. Fourth foul on Watkins. Fourth hasn't seen the floor in a while. Boeheim displeased with his inability to block out earlier tonight. And it's back to an 11-point lead. Troutman now with 14. A stunning turnaround.
See, no one seems willing to take the offensive load except for McNamara and Ward.
Troutman just picked up a foul. That'll be number 4. Along with Krauser, obviously the most indispensable player that Pittsburgh has.
And it's still too early for Jamie Dixon to believe that he can afford to have Javon Troutman on the bench. He's a senior. He knows how to play with 4 fouls. He's going to leave him out there.
Watkins suffered torn ligaments in his thumb and missed 7 games, had surgery, missed 7 games, came back Monday at Rutgers with a small, soft cast, and now has even less than that on us. He makes 1 of 2 from the line. Pace with a big offensive rebound. McNamara, deep 3.
That inability to block out is getting contagious. Now it's Pittsburgh's turn.
Timeout called by Syracuse. 4:51 to play. The Orange down by 10. Their 13-game winning streak in jeopardy here tonight. Don't forget, a huge game coming up at the top of the hour. Mere minutes from now over on ESPN2. It'll be Daniel Gibson in Texas taking on Wayne Simeon. And in Kansas, great matchup at the point, actually, when you throw Miles in there. The freshman Gibson and the senior Miles. A real contrast there as Texas plays Kansas. Portland and Gonzaga coming up at 11 Eastern. Talk about the Big 12 a little bit of those two teams.
Well, Daniel Gibson just did a tremendous job in kind of dismantling Oklahoma State about a week or so ago. But they really miss P.J. Tucker. There's no two ways about it. He's gone for the rest of the season. They've got to adjust. Talk about Kansas. It's going to be bounce back time for them. This is a test of their mettle. They got thoroughly destroyed at Villanova.
Yes,
and I think Bill Self really now is philosophical about that loss. He wants to see what his team is made of.
Kendall with a block shot. Krauser comes out of there with a loose ball.
Well, he was so quick to the ball on that one.
And McNamara a little bit over-aggressive on the defense will be called for the foul, his 3rd. Both teams are over the limit. Carl Krauser, remember, then scoreless in the first half. Missed all 4 of his attempts. Did have 6 assists, but he's lighting it up here in the second.
Well, one of the things, again, he was probably allowing the game to come to him. Wasn't getting the shots that he wanted. Wasn't allowed to penetrate because they didn't get easy opportunities in the open floor off the turnovers. Where he's at his best on the fast break. But in the second half, they got those. Plus, you know, after trusting his teammates, he started to realize, okay, you know, I've established a pattern here. Let me start breaking that pattern and trying to take people off the bounce, set up for the threes, and he's been the recipient of good passes, and he has rewarded the passes.
Chevy Troutman going out probably briefly. He's got 4 fouls, getting a big ovation as Keith Benjamin comes back in. Krauser learning that the Ramones and the Kendalls and the Grays and the Benjamins, these guys can play. They can help out just like Krauser did as a freshman when Brandon Knight was running the show.
And that's what he did in the first half, particularly with Levon Kendall. He trusted some other guys to get the job done.
How about Aaron Gray? Boy, you take 30 pounds off, you can get up there, block some shots, big fella.
That's right. No more drag on your elevation. He gets a running start, but whoa. Big fella gets up.
You know, they have lost some very good players the last couple of years, and they've replaced them, we're discovering, with some pretty capable parts.
Well, this is about program, and we talked about Pittsburgh's winning this over the last several years. You know, these guys understand what it takes to win.
Number 4 on Jerry McNamara, and a look of resignation on the face of Jim Boeheim.
Well, again, McNamara and Warwick, the only guys really interested in looking at the basket, and McNamara forced that one, as Krauser has done a tremendous job on Jerry McNamara in the second half. That was one of the adjustments that Jamie Dixon had to make, because in the first half, he was pretty much having his way with Antonio Graves.
McNamara 14 points in the first half, just 2 in the second half. Syracuse as a team, just 17 points in the second half. If you weren't with us midway through the first half, at one point it was 22-5 for the Orange. McCroskey fouls Krauser. Will step aside. Pitt smelling it now. Words, I'm a responsible adult. I ski. Time now for our green light, shooting the rock. First half field goals. Pittsburgh just 35. They've gone up to 50% in the second half. Syracuse shot over 50% in the first half. 26% here in the second half.
Well, Pittsburgh's shooting difference has a lot to do with their change in philosophy in attacking this zone, as they did towards the end of the first half and certainly carried over in the second half. Ability to get the ball inside, force the defenders to make decisions, and then find open people. Also, they've been able to get some open court opportunities in the fast break situation. Problem with, and you take a look at their shooting right now, 3-point field goal range. They just needed to be able to go inside out to get their shooters started. Problem with Syracuse, though, is that the zone, as well as the switch of Krauser on to McNamara, has really thrown a monkey wrench into their offensive rhythm.
All 15 points for Krauser here in the second half. Watkins the rebound. Another block by Aaron Gray.
It's hard to say a 7-footer coming out of nowhere, but that's what it felt like with Darryl Watkins, who thought he had a chippy.
Gray playing a lot more this year than last year and playing a lot better. Kendall playing a lot more the last few games after Demetrius was suspended. Benjamin with 10 points tonight, as many as he's had the entire season coming into this game. It has truly been a team effort for the Panthers tonight.
And again, this is what comebacks will do for teams, give them extreme confidence.
And a foul away from the ball on Kendall, his 4th. 3:04 to go. Pittsburgh once down 17, now up 14 here at the Peterson Event Center. Dan Schulman and Len Elmore with you. Winter X Games 9 from Aspen. Coming up next, as soon as this game is over, Moto X Best Trick, and also some snowboarding coming your way as well. So stick around for that. Ramon gets a hand on the ball, but it's out of bounds to the Orange.
It's been a game of two halves, if you will, two different halves for Pittsburgh, as they figured out the zone and applied their defense.
Warwick is fouled. Gray will be called for the foul, his first.
And you know what? I like that foul.
Yep.
You know, no easy baskets now for Syracuse, even though you stop the clock, and the clock is your best friend if you're Pittsburgh. And also, you don't allow Hakeem Warwick to make any statements, because that would have been an exclamation.
He makes some loud statements, you're right.
In a short statement right there.
How about this statement, Len? Last year, Pittsburgh held Syracuse to 45 points up at the Carrier Dome. Then here, even though Pittsburgh lost, as now Troutman returns for Kendall. Even though Pittsburgh lost, they held Syracuse to 49 points, and that was an overtime game. Now tonight, they've only got 52.
And right now, they're on pace to be the 9th victim of Pittsburgh to be held to 60 points or less. That's what I've said before. Pittsburgh does it with defense. They change their defenses. They've gotten stickier to Jerry McNamara, and that's really buoyed their confidence and triggered their offense.
Just getting going over on ESPN2 from Allen Fieldhouse, Texas and Kansas, 2 of the heavyweights in the Big 12. Winter X Games 9 after us here at the end of this game. Krauser trap, finds the open man, and from close range, another easy 2 for Chevy Troutman. I said to you during the break, these guys are like an acquired taste, Pittsburgh, as McNamara hits the 3 and is fouled. But the more you watch Pittsburgh play, the more you appreciate how good they really are.
Well, and certainly you got to watch them for long periods of time, because, as we mentioned, no real flamboyance on this team except maybe Carl Krauser and some of his passes. But the bottom line is they play as a team, they play defense. They will outwork you on the backboard and even out on the perimeter. They'll go after loose balls, and they'll challenge you physically.
Syracuse continuing to press, trying to force turnovers. Ramon out there as a second ball handler right now, along with Krauser when they get it over, as Benjamin helps out as well. Less than 2 minutes away from what looks like a Pittsburgh win, and less than 2 minutes away from Winter X Games 9 here on ESPN.
And Dan, remember way back at the beginning of the telecast, you asked me, obviously, if Syracuse is that good. Syracuse is good, but, you know, we obviously see exactly what Jim Boeheim was speaking about, the inability of getting a lift from his bench and from the younger players who are still in a development process. Now, they will be good. When you have a team like Jerry McNamara and Hakeem Warwick, and to, like I said, a lesser extent, Josh Pace, you got a nucleus there. But they need help. They need guys to step up, be more aggressive, and more importantly, to do what you can possibly do fundamentally, including block people out.
McNamara heating up now, and Syracuse has it down to 8. Now, Jim Boeheim has said repeatedly this team will go as far as the sophomores will take them. He knows what he'll get from the upperclassmen. And now they're going to force Pittsburgh to earn it at the line. And remember, as a team, Pittsburgh is the worst free throw shooting team in the Big East.
Well, they got a 70% shooter on the line right here. Ronald Ramon about 73%. So you got some pretty good free throw shooters out there, Ramon and Krauser.
Ramon showing some poise, the freshman out of the Bronx. He and Benjamin, both freshmen, both big contributors in the backcourt tonight for Pittsburgh. 2 free throws for Ramon, the lead back to 10. And Kendall will return for Benjamin.
And that's a good move Jamie Dixon makes. He gets Benjamin out of there, who hasn't had much experience on the line, and brings in Kendall, who's 7 for 10 coming into this game.
The cutting McCroskey will score. But Syracuse can't ill afford to trade points right now. They need some steals.
Where was McCroskey with that move, that aggression earlier in the game?
Timeout here with 57 seconds to go. Pittsburgh by 8. Now a win. Man, I thought the Panthers were tough. Those Winter X guys getting after it on Moto X, which you'll see after this game. Pittsburgh into the final minute. Now up by 10. That's your exclamation point right there from Chevy Troutman.
And it was a model of experience as Troutman just held up a little bit as that pass was underthrown, just to freeze McNamara and still able to grab it. That's Chevy Troutman in a nutshell, using guile, experience, and effort.
Another 3 for McNamara. He's got 26, but the big story tonight, another remarkable comeback by the Pitt Panthers. Came back from 17 down to beat UConn a week ago. This is their next game. They hadn't played since then. Came back from 17 down tonight. Now lead Syracuse by 7. A look at their upcoming schedule. Monday night here against Providence, ESPN2. Saturday night, you and I will be down in Morgantown, ESPN2, as they take on West Virginia. They still have to play Syracuse again up at the Carrier Dome. They'll have UConn here. They've got Notre Dame coming here in a couple of weeks in a game that you or I will do. And look at how hard Jamie Dixon is working his team.
Well, during that stretch we just saw, 3 out of those 5 games are going to be at home. And that's a major advantage for most teams. But playing here is like a house of horrors for the visitors.
Pace on the penetration. And the 3 from the wing goes in for Hakeem Warwick. His 7th made 3. Syracuse back within 6, 33 seconds to go. Syracuse came into this game 20-1, but with the real meat of their schedule beginning tonight. Take a look at their next 5 games.
Well, again, Connecticut playing Pittsburgh at their place. And at Villanova, we've seen what they're capable of doing. None of those games are easy. And then finally, in this stretch at Boston College, boy, we talked about whether or not Syracuse was the type of team to belong in the top 3. Obviously, they're probably going to drop a few notches now. If they ever were, this is the way you determine it, by this type of schedule.
By the way, Villanova routed Rutgers earlier today. Last score we had, Georgetown was making it interesting at Boston College against one of the nation's 2 remaining unbeaten teams. Syracuse just 1 loss prior to tonight to Oklahoma State, but in danger here tonight. Well, we've got a moment. Back to the studio.
Hey guys, we'll update you on that Boston College-Georgetown game. The Eagles trying to go to 18-0, but the Hoyas giving them a ball game now. 42-37 BC. The Eagles have not hit a single 3-point bucket, but they're up 5 with 6 to play. Dan and Lynn?
Now Georgetown, as you guys mentioned, held to 12 points in the first half, making a game of it in the second half against BC. Winner X Games 9 next here on ESPN. Syracuse out of timeouts, down by 6, 33 seconds to go. Krauser splits the double team, and he's fouled. It has been a huge second half for Carl Krauser, a very big second half for Siobhan Troutman. And I think about 4 guys could share the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor tonight in the white uniforms, with Ramon and Benjamin and Gray and Kendall all doing their share. The one guy who's really been quiet the whole night and hasn't played a whole lot in the second half, Chris Taft. I mean, down the road, they need more from him.
Oh, they certainly do, and he needs to look at him, and he needs to play with confidence. Well, that's a huge shot, because the game is only a 2-possession ball game, and particularly with the way Syracuse is hitting the threes of late, you know, could make Pittsburgh a little bit queasy, but this gives them a little more breathing room and hitting those 2 free throws. Now they've got to be able to guard the 3-point line, and look at Ramon just all over Jerry McNamara, denying him the ball at the top of your screen.
19 points for Krauser, all of them in the second half. Warwick just forces up a 3, and a foul is called on Chevy Troutman. Jim Burr rings up Chevy Troutman, who just fouled out of the game.
It ain't over yet, folks. Not yet.
Boy, I don't know if it was a ticky-tack call or not. We'll get another look, but you just got to back off, Warwick. I mean, you can't send him to the line for 3.
I mean, he's a 35% shooter, which is not bad. Look at that long stride as he steps back. And Troutman tries to block the shot. You are not going to block that.
He's contested.
Right. You cannot put yourself in a position to have a foul call. Run to the side of him. I guess he's telling the official that he avoided the contact, but it was too close.
So you stop the clock, and Warwick gets a chance to shoot 3 free throws. He's not a great free throw shooter, but if you're Pittsburgh, you just want to keep this clock running. A great effort by Troutman, that foul notwithstanding. 18 points on the night. Again, the bulk of his damage in the second half. And the Pitt coaches will tell you he's as well conditioned as any player on the team, and that's why he's able to keep going when everybody else gets tired.
Well, he's a perpetual motion machine, no doubt about it.
Warwick, a perpetual motion machine as well. Struggles at the line, though. Winner X Games 9 immediately following the conclusion of this game here on ESPN. Texas and Kansas with the college game day crowd over on ESPN2 already underway. Ray is going to come back into the game now for Pittsburgh. Warwick, as we mentioned, gets to the line as much, just about as any player in college basketball. Big improvement from his freshman year, but still not what you'd call a good free throw shooter.
We're back to a 2-possession ball game, so Pittsburgh cannot relax. They've got to be able to take the foul or beat the press.
Ramon will go back to the line. Warwick commits the foul, his 4th. Well, you know in Big East play, especially when you play Pittsburgh, it's going to be physical. Whether you're a physical team or not, you're going to have to step up the physical play against Pittsburgh.
Well, you got to be willing to bump shoulders and, you know, lock arms and bang hips when you play Pittsburgh.
Find out exactly what the officials are going to give you. Ramon misses the first, still a 2-possession game. Syracuse's win streak, the 3rd longest active streak in Division I. Illinois won today. Boston College leading Georgetown right now in a close game. Big free throw there to make it a 3-possession game, assuming nobody fouls McNamara as he attempts a 3.
He didn't even have that one in his hand that time. McNamara just couldn't get the grip.
And Pittsburgh's going to win it. From 17 down in the first half, they beat Syracuse just like they did up in UConn last week. What a performance by Troutman, Krauser, and the Panthers to snap Syracuse's 13-game winning streak. The final from the Peterson Event Center, Pittsburgh 76, Syracuse 69. Winner X is next. For Len Elmore and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman. Thanks for watching. Good night.